Welcome to Season 2 of Producer Points. My name is Justin Gammella, and I'll be your host. I'm a producer and songwriter who's had the honor of working with some of the best in the industry. This season, we're diving even deeper into one-on-one conversations with producers, mixers, songwriters, and artists, exploring their unique journeys, creative process, and insights that shape great music. Join me for real talks, straight from the studio, where music and life intersect. This is Producer Points. Today on Producer Points, we're diving into the world of an artist, songwriter, and now producer who has not only changed my life, but continues to blow me away every time we work together. Her ability to come up with endless melodies, 15 out of 10 concepts, and now self-produce her own records makes her one of the most inspiring creatives I've ever met. She's worked with some of the biggest artists in the world, including Bella Poarch, Tomorrow X Together, Alan Walker, Jamie Miller, Ava Max, Surfaces, and Demi Lovato, and her writing has helped shape the sound of modern pop across continents. But beyond the accolades and streams, she's one of the kindest humans I know. She throws a great party, makes everyone feel welcome in a room, and has one of the cutest dogs I've ever seen. Join me in welcoming Salem Ilese.
Oh my goodness. I'm blushing. That was the sweetest intro ever.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so much easier for me to write intros when I know the guest really well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I can really punch in some heart-wrenching ones a bit. It's
Yeah.
all true though. It's all
Aw.
true.
Thanks. I'll tell Bowie that you said that.
Good.
He'll be really appreciative.
Hey, listen, Bo's the bestest boy. I don't
Hey.
get to see him too often.
Hey, Nori's pretty cool too.
Nora's pretty cool too, but he's just too big. He's too big.
He's a gentle giant.
I know. For my listeners, I have like a pit bull. He's like 70 pounds.
Very sweet.
And Bowie's, is he Maltese technically?
He's
or-
a Coton.
Okay.
Coton de Tulier.
There you go.
But
a sweet little boy.
yeah.
But how are you? How are things? I know we're recording this for our listeners in March. You're getting ready for your album. That's should be out or will be coming out.
Yes, June 13th.
Okay, so it will be out by then.
That we're rocking
Yes.
with.
That's
Hoping that will stick.
yeah. You know what? We'll find out, and listeners can learn that things deadlines change.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh yeah. All the time. Everything always gets pushed back.
You know, it's better to get it pushed back than to be like, actually, no, that's a lie. Because if you need to release it sooner, it usually means something's popping off.
It means that something has gone viral.
Yeah.
If you need to release it tomorrow, that's usually best case scenario.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. And you know, also, you self-produced a lot or co-produced most, if not all, the album, right? I haven't listened to most of the songs. You gave me a sneak peek of one that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
But how much of like the album did you produce, and how much of involvement were you there?
Co-produced on every song, and there's two that are just me, and co-produced with Dave Arkwright.
Dave?
Yeah, so great. He was so patient with me and helpful, and taught me so much about production through the process, and was just such a great collaborator to have. But yeah, most of it was basically the process of all the songs where I would write the song and try and produce up a demo to the best of my ability, and then bring it into Dave, and he would add his magical Dave sparkle.
The Dave-ness.
Yeah, the Dave dust, and we would co-produce it together, and we had a lot of sessions where we would just sit there all day and like work on a song and chip away and chisel, and then I would leave, and then he would have alone time with it.
Right.
And we would go back and forth like that. And sometimes we would, like, he'd send over stems and I would work on it and go back and forth.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
That's like deep. Okay.
It was really, really
That's
fun.
like when Dave and I work together and co-produce, like we're both in Pro Tools, we're able to like kind of open up the same session, but you're in Logic, I'm assuming.
I'm
right?
actually in Ableton now.
Oh, okay.
I made the switch.
You made the switch.
I did, yeah, but still not Pro Tools, so it is still a little bit of a pain for him
to go back and forth.
Yeah, but he makes it really easy on me. He's very sweet. He like stems it out and then sends it over.
That makes sense. Dave would do that. We're going to talk more about that later, but how we start every podcast is we always ask how you got your start in music. And funny enough, I don't know too much. I know you went to Berkeley, but that's about it, which is funny. So this will be fun for me.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
the Salem lore.
Right?
So I started singing as early as I can remember. There are recordings of me making up songs around the house when I was 4 years old that my parents loved to show everybody as blackmail.
Yeah.
And they caught on super early that I liked singing and music. So they put me in singing lessons, piano lessons, and then a songwriting class when I was, I think, 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a summer program called Blue Bear Music School in San Francisco, and the teacher was actually Bonnie Hayes.
Oh,
And she was my very first songwriting teacher ever.
wow.
Yeah, I got super lucky there. And I just immediately fell in love with songwriting. I didn't know that it was a real job you could have. I just thought it was something to
You
do
just
for
did, yeah.
fun. Yeah, exactly. I would always make up little songs around the house about my stuffed animals or like how I was feeling that day. Almost little jingles. I feel
Yeah.
like I was a jingle writer when I was a kid, like making up songs for the dog and everything. And then Bonnie taught me the basics of songwriting, and she really instilled the importance of lyricism into me from a super young age,
Yeah.
which I feel like I really held on to.
No
'Cause-
kidding.
yeah, me, lyrics. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And then Bonnie got a job at Berklee College of Music as the head of the songwriting department. And I think I was 12 at the time. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to follow her to Berklee. That's the new goal. That's where I'm going to go to school.
Crazy.
And I actually was an intern at Blue Bear every summer after that and taught songwriting just over the summer.
Taught songwriting to other children.
Yes,
As
and
you-
it
and
was,
when
and
you
I
were a
was
child.
I was 12 when
Yeah.
I started doing that, and a lot of them were older than me, super uncomfortable. They were like there was like 15-year-old boys, and I was like standing at the front of the class like. So this is a chord progression. It was really
Were you a good
funny.
teacher? I feel like you were.
I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I blocked a lot of that out, but I had a really good time.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a great way to learn is to teach, actually, funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say that you don't know something unless you can articulate it to
Yeah.
someone else.
Super true.
So that was definitely helpful and just a really fun way to spend summers. And then I ended up going to Berklee and stayed for 2 years and then dropped out.
And then dropped
I was
out.
like, you know what? I've accomplished the goal of getting here, and I feel like I have learned what I came here to learn and met a bunch of really cool people, and I was impatient.
What made you, because, you know, like the joke is that, like, I mean, what's the joke with like Berkeley? Like, if you finish,
Yeah,
You
they're
know?
like, you know, you should drop out, or if things go well, like
Right.
you've dropped out.
what made you, you know, besides being impatient, what made you feel like that you're like, you know what, I gotta get out? Did you immediately move out to LA once you dropped out?
I did, yeah. So everyone that I was working with really consistently, they were about to graduate and they were all moving to LA.
Right.
And I didn't want to lose those connections that I had made and stop working with the people that I worked with every week. And I also went to every song screening and every office hour and just networked so much while I was there that I did feel like I had a decent amount of people I could reach out to help set up sessions. For those of you that don't know, song screenings were basically an A&R or someone in the industry would visit Berklee and they would spend like 2 hours listening to demos, and they would usually listen to like a verse and a chorus in front of a whole group of people and give feedback on it. And then if you wanted to, you could wait afterwards in
like,
a long
talk.
line and talk to them and just try and get some FaceTime.
Right.
And I would always go and get their email. That was like my little
And they would give out their email.
if you asked. Yeah,
Wow.
not everyone would ask. So
Yeah.
I was like, I made sure to do that, and
You
then I
had
would
some
always
real
send
chutzpah
them.
doing that, you know?
I really tried. I was a hustler in college. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would send out my little unreleased SoundCloud
Yeah.
links, like the Dropbox of everything. And through that, I actually did get a lot of really helpful connections
Yeah.
that helped me once I moved to LA. That's how I met Benjamin Groff. Yeah, a bunch of Evan Lipschitz.
Yeah.
Lipschitz?
Lipschitz.
Lipschitz.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, wait, that sounds wrong.
The Jew knows how to say it.
Evan Lipschitz. I met him at Berklee as well. And just a bunch of, you know, A&Rs that helped me set up sessions here.
Who'd you say was like when you first moved out here was that first person to really like kind of take you under their wing and mentor you and start putting you in rooms with quote unquote like bigger songwriters and producers?
I would say Benjamin Groff and Cara DiGuardi both helped me a
Yeah.
lot.
I think that's how we got connected. It was Kara.
It was Cara. That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. She really was so helpful with getting me sessions
Yeah.
and just introducing me to people in
For,
LA.
for our listeners, Kara DiGuardi, let's look her up. Like one of the biggest songwriters of all time. Like she was on American Idol as a judge for a couple seasons. Now she's like mostly a publisher and manager and stuff.
She also teaches at Berklee.
She does. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So that's how I met her originally, was through her class.
Okay.
She had an application only class where I think it was like 15 songwriters and one of the best classes that I took at
Sure,
Berkeley.
yeah.
And basically, she would just put us into groups every week and say, go write songs and come back in next week with a song. So we would just have to have a session.
Right.
And that was kind of my first introduction to proper session culture, was through classes like that, where you had a whole week to write the song. So it was definitely a
Not
little different than what we're doing now, which is, like
not that.
5 to 7 hours. And
then if that.
if
you
that,
know,
yeah.
and just trying to get it done, and then if it's good, then you work on it more after.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for scheduling another day.
Yes.
That's been a big thing of mine recently. I'm like, you know what? Let's get a really solid verse and a chorus that we love and leave ourselves the opportunity to make edits and finish it later.
Yeah, I just like, and you know how I like to work too, where I'm just so big on. I'm a producer, but I'm a songwriter first, and I'm always so focused on, like, I don't care about my production. I just want like a vibe at most, but I'm so much more focused on, like, cool, let's get a verse, a chorus, maybe another verse, and just like also get a great sounding vocal, because
100%.
demoitis vocals are a real thing.
So true.
Yeah.
I appreciate that immensely. Also, your day one production always sounds great. So.
It sounds good, but it's very minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is
Yeah.
so the way to
That's
go.
kind of the way to go, where it's like, I want to make sure everything sounds good. But it's easy when it's like, okay, there's like really like 3 or 4 elements on this.
Yeah.
You know.
That also makes it easier to tell if the song is good.
Yes.
Because if the song is good on its own, then it'll
That's
just get better when you dress it up.
Right. And like, I like, in our case, like, I don't always finish up productions I do. I always, like, I work with Dave, or I work with other people, like, in the case of Build a Bitch, like Ely and Suburban finished up that production and they brought it to life. So, it's a whole thing. Okay, back to your story though. So Kara was out here and booking. Was that like one of like your first like sessions that they booked you here in? Or
Yeah.
I thought I was. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
That was year one of
Yeah.
being in LA, first few months. And I got so lucky. Oh my God.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that, but I feel like I got lucky
100%.
too. But that's like the importance of, I think for even producers who are like, man, I wasn't even that established at that point, but I've been doing it for a while. I think sometimes like people get bogged down in, well, I got to work with like people at this level of, working and having a team and whatever. And to me, it's like, that is so stupid. Like, I heard your stuff and I was like, this girl's fucking great. And and that's how I work with anyone. It's like, I'm always working on with like what I'm hearing, not who their team is or like what they have going on. It's really backwards thinking in my opinion.
I think that's so smart.
Yeah.
I try and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because also I feel like nothing is more rewarding than getting in with an artist early and being part of their rise to success.
Yeah.
That is such an amazing feeling, and it's so cool to just know that you had such a big part in that. I mean, obviously, I love working with artists that are already huge.
No, of
That's
course.
super cool too.
Yeah.
But there is like a different type of magic when you get to help break somebody.
There's a different type of magic, and there's also a different type of success. There's such a difference between having a cut on a Beyonce album versus like helping to develop the next Beyonce.
Oh my God, yeah.
They are two very different things, and they both feel great to get. But like personally, I want to like find the next, maybe not Beyonce, but the next, big.
I mean, that would be great,
right? But like my favorite kind of producers are, maybe you feel the same way, are like people like like Phineas and like Dan Nigro and like guys like that were like, cool, I love this artist, and I'm gonna like latch on and like I'm gonna zone in, and it works.
100%.
It's high risk, high reward.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind, and it's just kind of making your schedule to like have those types of sessions while also like having the sessions for like an Ava Max or whatever.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And I feel it's also like A&Ring in a sense.
Oh, producers are the new A&Rs. 1,000%. Songwriters too.
Hot take.
I know so many songwriters that are like also like latching onto projects.
Yeah.
And like looking for producers, and like it's kind of, I'm not saying like A&Rs aren't doing their job, but I think it's a way for songwriters to have a little bit more ownership in the thing and like help out their own careers. Like songwriters are, as like songwriters are already struggling so much, and you do have to kind of think outside the box. I don't think you can have a career anymore just like doing the session thing. it's really, really hard.
I 100% agree.
And I see more and more, and I think it's awesome. Songwriters like developing artists, and and that was a producer's job for a while, and now I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I've been seeing that too.
yeah. Or like in your case, like A&R your own project.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like we have to think of different ways to like support ourselves, and your artist project doesn't have to be this like super successful thing to make you money, right? Like Salem is signed, but like songwriters who are unsigned, like you can release a song and have it get 1 million streams, and if you own that master, that's like $4,000 per million streams, and like that, it's more attainable than you think to like get that done.
Yeah, the biggest bit of advice I
Yeah.
would give is to start an artist project.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna do it too.
Please, oh my
I know.
goodness.
I have like
Wait,
a couple.
Yay.
It's like gonna be. We'll see. Maybe I'll cut this out. But it's gonna be. I like over this like the past like 3-4 months when I just wasn't doing sessioning, and I'm the kind of person where it's like if I write a song by myself, it has to literally just like come to me. I can't do the thing that where like I sit down like, okay, I'm gonna write a song today. But
I feel that,
yeah,
actually.
I have like 6 or 7
solo
songs
writes.
that are like living on my voice memos right now. That I'm
Wait,
like,
I'm so excited. What are the
Yeah.
vibes?
Like they're folky, singer songwritery. I think.
I want to hear.
Yeah, I'll show you some after.
Yay,
But they're just on
thank
my voice
you.
memo, so we'll
Would
see.
you just go with your name?
I have a thing. I changed my TikTok name and deleted everything, and it's like called JJG right now.
Ooh,
But
I
I don't
love
know.
that.
Yeah, it's my initials, so
JJG.
we'll see. I don't want to talk
That's
about
sick.
myself. This is your episode. But I know this
I wanna
is
talk
why
about
she's
you.
so sweet. I know. I want to talk about your journey to becoming a self-producing artist. I think I always knew you had the chops. You're so musical. You play piano amazingly well. I know you're just starting to play guitar and stuff.
Thanks.
You were always recording your own vocals, as far as I've remembered, and you are such a phenomenal vocal producer. But what made you want to take that jump from doing your own vocals, maybe putting down a couple ideas, to like really being like, you know what, I want to be a co-producer on my album. I want to sit in Ableton and like do the thing.
Well, thank you. That is very sweet. I actually feel like you taught me a lot about vocal production
thank
as
you.
well, because I remember when we would write back in the early days and it was just the two of us, you would challenge me with going home and recording my own vocal and comping it and then sending it to you. And that was like so valuable for me to do just because it really is practice, I feel.
It's the only way to get good at it.
Yeah. I feel like the pandemic also played a big role in that.
yeah.
I really had to just lock in and start getting good at that because everyone did.
Right.
I was doing, 1 or 2 Zoom sessions a day, 5 days a week, and you just have to record your own vocal and you have to do it quickly and then send it over. So that, and yeah, I started as a kid whenever I was songwriting in high school, I would record little demos on GarageBand. And I remember there was a class at Berkeley. I took a songwriting or a summer program there, 5-week in 2016. And there was a demo production class that you could apply to be in. And to apply, you had to send in a self-produced demo and step by step break down how you did it and what you used and
That sounds
just
miserable.
your method. Yeah. And I had never produced anything, and you could only use Logic or Ableton.
You couldn't use Garage, so you had to
Couldn't
lie.
use GarageBand.
that's
And I had
annoying.
only ever used GarageBand.
Yeah.
So, and I had 2 weeks to do this. So I remember going to my chorus teacher in high school, and I knew that he had Logic on his computer, and I was like, hey, here's the deal. I really want to apply to this. I'm really interested in demo production.
Right.
And I was wondering if I could just sit with you for a few hours after school one day and if you could teach me anything. And he was like, you can't do this in 2 weeks. It's not worth it. I'm not going to help you. And I was so mad.
I was
And
about to like give like your teacher a big compliment because I was expecting him to be like, "Yeah, I'll teach you."
no, no. But that did light a fire under my butt because I'm not a very competitive person, but
Yeah.
when someone tells me I can't do something, I really want to then do it just to prove them wrong. So he pissed me off, and it was the best thing that could have happened
Yeah.
because I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. And my friend Martine actually ended up helping me and just like showing me the ropes of Logic, and I spent every day after school for those 2 weeks trying to produce a demo of a song called Step Lightly, which I ended up releasing as like a 16-year-old. It was my first release on the streaming
Like the streaming
platforms.
thing.
Yeah. And I got into the program. So I
Hey.
got to do the demo production class.
Well, I feel like that's what's good about GarageBand, that it's actually like not too far removed from Logic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I started on Logic.
Yeah.
Was because it felt like GarageBand. And then fast forward to living in LA. I worked a lot with one executive producer
Right.
who you have interviewed,
Yes.
Bendick, and we worked together for 5 years, which was awesome. And he executive produced my last album, High Concept, and we were also dating. And then after the album was done, we ended up breaking up. And when it came time to start writing my next project, we weren't working together anymore.
Right.
And I had a bit of an identity crisis as an artist because we'd been working together for so long.
Yeah, of course. Right.
That I just realized, I was like, oh, wow, I need to really think about how much of my sound is coming from me and where I want to take it next and what that's going to look like and sound like. I had a little writing camp in Joshua Tree about, I guess, a year and change ago now. It was January 2024. And it was me, Dave Arkwright, my bestie and roommate Alna, Alna Hoffmeyer, Jake Bennett, Amelia Ali, and Gavin Haley. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anybody. I don't think so.
They're going to kill you if you forget that. No, it's fine.
Really, though.
You're trying.
I think that was the squad. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And none of the songs that we wrote ended up being on the album, which always happens.
What did you? Why'd you feel like they didn't make the cut?
I think that I just didn't know what the sound was yet, honestly. And a lot of the songs, though, I really, really love.
I mean, I feel like they're all great pitch records.
Yeah.
Knowing you, so.
That's actually a really good point. I should be pitching them.
Oh, you're not? What are you doing?
I pitched one,
Yeah.
but the others I was like, I'm going to keep them just in case. One might actually definitely be on the deluxe because
there you go.
like Dave and I ended up producing it up and everything. And
It fits.
Yeah, the first one, actually, there's one called City of Angles, which didn't make the cut on the original album, but might be on the deluxe. And that was the first one Dave and I got together and co-produced, and it kind of dictated the rest of the sound for the album.
Right.
Even though, ironically, it didn't end up actually making it.
Yeah.
But that camp, I feel like, kind of sparked the vision in my brain. And after that camp, I went home, and it was literally the week after I wrote hahaha, which was the first single to come out.
Right.
And
it just came out last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is March and just came out. Great.
March 21st.
We're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna give enough compliments eventually.
Thanks. So I wrote that one like literally the week after the camp, and I was in my bedroom. It was a rainy day in LA, one of those very rare occasions. And I've been thinking a lot about how all of my best anecdotes were super not fun to live. Like all of my best stories, my worst times.
Yeah.
And just the idea of how everything eventually, if you get out of it, you look back and you can laugh on it or laugh about it. So I wanted to kind of write a song about that. I also really love writing songs that are about general life concepts. I feel like it's almost harder sometimes to write than a love song or a breakup song. So I like to challenge myself to do that. But yeah, wrote it on electric guitar, which is my least proficient instrument. And I find that writing on an instrument I can't play well opens up a whole new world of chords for me because I'm not writing based on music theory. I'm just writing based off
because I guess
sound.
you don't know like the guitars like I know I'm playing this chord or this note. You're just kind of going by ear, I'm assuming.
I'm just going by what sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I can't do bar chords very well, so I just play like the two bottom strings and, just kind of move around with that form.
Yeah.
And that's how that one started. And it just started with like the guitar intro of the song is like how I started writing it. And then I produced up a demo, and that took me like 2 or 3 weeks because I'm super slow on Ableton, and just especially when it comes to recording guitar. Oh my goodness, it's so funny. I will record occasionally if there's a line that I can't play to time. I'll record it like 2 times slower, and then I'll just speed it up.
That also sounds sick.
It does.
Yeah.
And it helps me get better at production.
Yeah.
I feel like I learn about production because of how unproficient I am in guitar.
Yeah.
So it works out.
That's so funny.
Produced up a demo. For that demo, I reached out to a bunch of people, like friends and family, and I was
Right.
like, hey, can you guys send me a voice memo of you laughing? And everyone was like, why? That's super weird. And some people just sent it
Yeah.
and sent like different timbres and different takes. And I was
Right.
like, oh, this is
They went in
great.
for you.
My mom really
Yeah.
went in. She was so funny. She was like an actress suddenly. She
Yeah.
was like, ha ha ha. Like sent like different. It was so funny.
She just really wanted to be in the song. You know.
Well, I didn't even tell them it was for a song.
Oh, okay.
I was like, hey, weird ask, but can you just send me a voice memo of you laughing? And she just, no questions
She
asked.
went in,
Yeah. Others were more skeptical. Like Jacob Hairlick, it took him a lot of convincing, and he eventually, I think he's on there.
That's like a very, what's it called? Vulnerable thing to ask someone to do.
It is.
Funny enough. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah.
I didn't use my own laugh now
Yeah.
that I think about it.
I hate my own laugh. I laugh a lot on the podcast, and every time I hear him, I'm just like, oh my God, it's gross.
I think that everyone hates the sound of their own talking voice. I have this theory.
Oh, no, that's 1,000% true.
At least for me.
Yeah.
I will not be listening back to this.
You'd think that, like, me having my own podcast, I would love the sound of my own voice. No, I hate it. Not for me.
You'd think me being a singer.
No,
Yeah, can't stand it.
no.
Nope.
Well, that's how it goes. So you were producing, and then, like, was it after that you were like, I think I can do this, and start, like, demoing out your whole album? Or, like, what was...
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a lot of it had to do with Dave, and I showed him ha ha ha,
Right.
and he was like, this is really cool. I would love to work on it with you. And I was like, awesome. So we got in the room, and he was like, I want to use your stems.
Right.
Like, I want to use your production and just add to it. And I was like, you know, at first I was kind of like, oh, like, do it, like, whatever you want, whatever you're hearing,
Right.
like, try whatever you're hearing. He's like, no, I really want to actually
Right.
co-produce this and, like, add on to what you've already done. I feel like it's in a really good spot. And we did that, and it was just such a fun process and produced a result that I was so happy with, that really, like, with his vote of confidence,
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, cool, yeah, this was a great way to work, and I feel like we could continue doing this
Yeah.
for the rest of the project. Yeah.
I love that. What were some of the challenges you felt like when you were making your album and producing that you were, like, faced and how to, like, kind of overcome?
Good question. A big challenge for me was trying to find the time to work on the artist project and also do sessions for other artists.
Good. This was a future question, so you're going to answer it for me already.
Awesome. Once I decided that I really wanted to try and do as much as I could alone, whether it be production or writing, I realized that I would have to start blocking off days that I worked from home just by myself. And I was super used to doing 3 to 5 sessions a week with other people. And the way that I used to kind of divide it was like 2 or 3 days of the week was for my artist project, and the rest were for another artist or pitch. And obviously it would change depending on the week and depending on the sessions. But I started going in with the intention of only working with other people for pitch and other artists' projects, and only working on my artist project by myself at first, and then bringing it into Dave.
Right.
And that was definitely a bit of a like new task to learn, just having days where I was working from home by myself and had to keep on track and not get
Right.
distracted. Because the nice thing for me about a session is I usually am not doing it from my own home studio. I
Right.
usually leave my house, I drive somewhere, I get there at 1 p.m.
It's like going to work, essentially.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my brain, I'm a type A creative,
Right.
like very type A, love a schedule, love a plan. I feel like I could work a 9 to 5 and be happy with that just
Yeah.
because of how much I love structure, as long as the 9 to 5 was something super creative
Right.
and not
It's like,
sitting
all
at
right,
a
I clock
desk.
in, clock out. I do these tasks. You know,
Exactly.
Move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Nashville style of
Yeah.
working where everyone's like done by dinner and like
I am
home.
desperately trying to do that.
Same.
Yeah. So I'm like trying to do like I know LA, it's crazy, but I'm trying to do like an 11 to 5 thing.
Oh my goodness.
I
That's
know.
the dream.
I know.
That is
Trust
my
me.
dream schedule.
Yeah.
Every time someone's like early start, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
please.
I'm like slowly doing it because like now that I have like 2 kids, I'm like, hey guys, my wife needs help. We gotta like, and everyone's like, oh sure, like we'll end up, you know, I'm like
That's
great.
nice. I have the dog
Yeah,
excuse, which
exactly.
is a little less potent, but it still works because he eats at 6 p.m.
Hey, so you gotta
And
get there. It's
yeah,
very fair.
if I get home at 7:30,
Yeah.
boy is barking. He's
So
upset.
so what strategies did you take for yourself? You know, besides like blocking off time. This is such a great thing for producers too. It's what I tell producers that like one of the first things that you have to learn is like you need to block off production days for yourself because you will
Yeah.
immediately fall behind on everything if you don't. So what is it like actively putting it on your calendar? What did you do?
Yeah, I figured out that I had to actually pop it in my calendar for myself to see and also for my team. I am signed to APG Sony for publishing.
Right.
Love them so much. I've been super, super lucky with the team that I have built around me and the people I get to work with. They're awesome. But yeah, it was definitely a bit of a learning curve just trying to kind of explain that I did need these days
Right.
to block off because publishers put artists and writers and producers in sessions. That is their job.
That's so odd to me because like my publisher, and I feel like most publishers who work with producers understand that. They're like, oh, you need the time to produce out the records. Like, yeah, totally.
I think
But
that I was probably less vocal about the fact that I was producing.
okay.
And I more so pitched it as like, hey guys, I'm working on an album and like I need these
Like,
days
yeah,
for
to
the
do.
album.
Okay.
Or I'm just gonna work on it from home. So like let's keep it 3, and I was doing 3 sessions a week for other artists and for pitch, but 2 days a week
What's for
I
you? Yeah.
blocked off for me. But it was hard at first. I didn't put it in the calendar as like session with myself.
Yeah.
So I kept getting things scheduled over them
Is that
and
not a
had
song
to
title?
keep
Session with myself on your album?
that should
Sound.
be. I'm gonna just write that
Yeah,
down if you don't mind. So I had to like eventually start slotting them in as like Salem session with me.
Yeah. Salem with
X
Salem.
Salem. Yeah, exactly. And treat it more like how I would treat any other
Yeah.
session.
It's just like one of the things that again, for our listeners, like I say it, I had to learn it. So many producers have to learn it. Where it's like, one, it's already so hard to say no to opportunities, and when it's just like, oh, I don't have to produce this out right now. I can always do it later. But and obviously you have to be fluid and flexible because things do pop up, opportunities do come up that they're like, hey, this person's in town this week. They would love to work with you. So I always tell the advice that I give is like give yourself more time than you think you need because in this industry it's like days are always going to be gobbled up.
I love that.
And then also people cancel all the time. And like
Yes.
those then become your days to be like, okay, now this is a production day
Exactly.
for me.
Every cancellation day, I'm like, sick.
Yeah.
Album time.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And that's like most producers, as long as you're not canceling on me like 30 minutes before a session.
Yeah.
It's like even morning of, I'm like, cool. Like I just have to like reshift things around and like now we're good and we can work on records that I should have worked on 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
It's fine. How are you also handling, not only writing and producing as an artist, but being an artist and making content? Like what's your strategy there?
So I actually took a big break from making content while I was writing this album. After I had promoted my last album, High Concept, for like probably 6 months of like hard promo. Afterwards, I was like, okay, to write this next album, I can't be putting out a TikTok a day.
Yeah.
It's just not a sustainable way of creating.
I also think too, now that you're a more established artist, I think you have the luxury of like, and I think it's like other artists need to recognize this too, that like you can kind of step away for a little bit,
Thanks.
and then like you're allowed that. If someone tells you otherwise, I think they're wrong. To be quite honest.
The algorithm would disagree.
Really?
Just because I will say, I do not regret taking the break
Yeah.
because this album would not be
What it is,
written
yeah.
without that. I don't think I would have been able to, first of all, just live life enough to get experiences to write about
Yeah.
and learn about myself. And I also don't think I would have had the freedom to play around with sound and production and all of that if I was also focused on churning out content. But Now, breaking back into posting every
Right,
day
now
has been a bit of an uphill battle just because the algorithm does punish you a little bit
if you're
for
like
lack
not,
of consistency.
yeah, oh God.
Yeah.
I know. I'm curious on your take on like wanting every clip to go viral versus just, wanting every clip to at least be seen, where it's like, sure, maybe it's not a million people watching it, but it's like tens of thousands or 100,000 people watching it and your core fan base to at least alert, that you're coming out with new stuff. Like, what's kind of like your feelings with that? I know it's rough.
I look
Yeah.
at posting online as buying a lottery ticket. Genuinely. The more you buy, the higher chances go up. So the more you post, the higher the odds. But there is no way to hack the algorithm. There's no guarantee. Just put out content that you're proud of and just put out content. Honestly, I feel like unfortunately lately it seems to be favoring quantity over quality
Yeah.
in the sense that the things that might go viral could literally be the things that take you 5 seconds to film. It could be like a lip sync to a song that you spent months and months on and are very proud of. But the video itself, I've started underthinking stuff.
Yeah.
And then there are some pieces of content that will take me a lot longer to film,
Right.
and I'll like put time and energy into it and edit it. And those are ones that those are the ones that like I'm pretty sure will do well, especially if I reference an old thing. Like
Right.
every time I mention Matt at Disney
Right. It's like,
or
all right,
PS5
yep.
or Build a Bitch
Yeah.
or anything I worked on with Tomorrow by Together, the algorithm's like, yummy. We
Yeah.
like this. This will react well. So lately I've been trying to weave in the past things that I've done to help promote the
The new
future.
thing. Yeah, I know. It's like I literally before you came here, I like renamed every single podcast episode that's been released because like I'm learning. It's like, yeah, you gotta kind of like make it. Before I was just naming the podcast episodes, like this one would have been just Salem Ilese, but now it's like I need to be like how Salem Ilese works with so and so and so and so.
Oh yeah.
So it's
you
like
gotta get the catchy little
yes, the catchy little thing, and it's just like okay, and like thank God for AI for helping me to come up with these episode titles.
Oh my God.
It's just like it's really I use it as like a thing to bounce ideas off of.
Same. I use it as
Yeah.
a co-writer, honestly.
Yeah, it's great.
Like
It's
a caption co-writer.
right.
Every time, not every time, but a lot of times when I'm trying to figure out a caption for something on TikTok or Reels, I'll be like, "Hey, ChatGPT, this is what the video is about. This is the song concept. What is a catchy text on screen that I
Yeah.
can put? Or like give me 5 hashtags
Yep.
to use." And I also ask, what are the trending hashtags of this week for this specific niche on TikTok?
Yeah.
Or like, what's a good TikTok
Ooh, I
audio
haven't done
to
trending
use?
hashtags. I got to do that.
It's actually helpful.
Yeah, damn. I
Yeah.
haven't done that. Okay. I have it like I will not lie. Every single post that I've put on TikTok and Instagram or whatever has been written by AI because I do not have the bandwidth to write.
It's not your job.
No, I don't. Well, and now I'm before that Opus Clip thing, I was myself doing one post a day. And like I'm a full-time producer.
Yeah.
Like this podcast, I love doing it. I do not want it to be my full-time thing. It's definitely like a hobby for me that like, if it makes me money, great. But it's like I only have so much time in a day. And I'm like specifically choosing to be like, okay, this is where I'm going to take shortcuts. And also the AI can write better captions than I can. That is not what I'm good at.
I think you're very good at words in general.
I'm good at words, but like writing like captions where it's like the art of making local like things like that, I just can't do.
Yeah.
Like these intros, sure, I can do that. And like to be fair, the AI is helping me like cut it down. More
That's
like
nice.
this is behind the scenes of producer points, but it's like I write out a thing. I'm like, hey, these are the things I want to say. Just like edit it for clarity and shortness because I tend to actually
Nice.
write too much, and I need help like cutting things down.
There's a cool, I think it's a Mark Twain quote that I recently learned, which I'm going to butcher it, but something along the lines of, "Sorry, I didn't have time to write a shorter letter."
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, it's so true.
That is lately what I've been living by. I mean, I feel like that's also just the goal of a songwriter in general is to try and say the most in the least.
Oh yeah, brevity is I think that's the key to like a really phenomenal song where it's like I don't so often like I'm the person in the room where it's like can we just like simplify this
Yeah,
and just like just come on cut it down.
Yeah,
It's
can we
like,
say this in less words?
yes, like I have ADHD. I don't want to have to like go on Genius and like figure out what the song is about. Like
Yeah, and even for like, writing music that can be understood in every part of the world, you want to be able to say things in a very succinct
yeah.
way that's not super wordy or like verbose.
Yes.
You want to keep it, you know,
Yeah. And I'm not saying there's
easy.
not a time and place for that.
Yeah.
There is, but it's just like no, in the realms of pop music,
Uh-huh.
where it's like English as a second language for, international hits. Like
Yeah.
it's something you have to like keep in mind. And it's like, of course, like, yeah, I love a song where it's like the lyric is like really descriptive and like really like punches me right in the gut. Um, okay, speaking of songs and for global hits, this is what I'm curious your take on because you're an artist. Whenever I try and write with you, I have a philosophy for you specifically where it's like we're always writing for Salem,
Oh,
but if it's good for pitch, it's good for pitch.
100%.
I'm just a big believer that like even if I'm writing with other songwriters in the room, a song needs that perspective
Yes.
of like a singular person. With that being said, how do you know when a song is like yours or it's for someone else?
Ooh. For the album, I feel like I was really precious about what concepts I was going to keep for myself.
For our listeners, this girl has like, I don't know, pages upon pages of concepts in her back pocket ready to go.
I do have an ongoing concept
Yeah.
list that I've been keeping. I think I started it in 2014, and it's the same one that
Mine
I've kept.
started around the same time, 2015, when I moved out to LA.
Oh my goodness,
My like
yeah.
concept note.
Is it like one note?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just you scroll
I
forever.
have it like set up like by like different genres sometimes. Like I have like some like
smart.
oh these are like for like K-pop because they're just like
Yeah.
I don't want to like say my concept on here, but like they're very K-pop things. And I have ones for like pop songs and one for like ballads kind of thing. I have it like a little bit more organized.
That's smart. I should really
Yeah.
do that because mine is currently organized chronologically, and that's it. It's whenever I think of something,
You just put it in.
I will write it down.
That's good. Yeah.
And yeah, there is no system. I will just have to scroll for days.
Yeah. I mean, mine is pretty. It's not that neat. It's just like literally there's like those 3 different sections, and I just kind of decide where I put it. Otherwise, it's a mess. But yeah, so like writing your album, you knew those concepts were for you.
Yes. And this album, more so than any other one or any piece of music that I've released, is extremely, extremely autobiographical.
Yeah.
It's literally just what I was going through and what I was thinking. And for example, hahaha could literally not have gone to any other artist.
No.
Because the verses are 4 stories that happened to me, and they are so hyper specific that I'm sure other people will be able to relate to them because of the feeling they evoke.
Yeah.
But for example, one of the lines was that wedding in New York when I ignored a UTI. I got back to LA, my fever up to 105.
Yeah.
I almost died, but now it's funny. I don't think I could have pitched that to anybody.
No. Maybe. But no.
Maybe they would have had to probably
You have to change the
lie,
lines. Yeah,
or they would have
exactly.
had to change the lines.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't have been, So, and there are lines like that throughout the whole album where it's like, whether it be a literal name, like I say in one of the songs, I say Amelia's name,
Right.
one of my best friends, and yeah, just hyper specific things that I knew I couldn't have.
Well, like
couldn't have pitched them.
not even for this album, right? But even in the past, like how did you like kind of be like, this one feels like it's for me, this one it kind of feels like it's for someone else?
I feel like in the past, I wouldn't really know until the song was done. I would always I would do the same thing
Yeah.
where I would go into a session if it was just me and a producer
Right.
and assume that it was for me, unless we had a very specific brief we were trying to get.
Right.
And then if it didn't, connect perfectly,
You
I
didn't
would
want to
pitch
take
it.
that Underdogs song or you wrote for that
Oh my
movie?
gosh. Was it Underdogs?
Yeah, it was
Underdogs
for we
it
wrote
was
it
for
for like the Superman
the
like
Paw Patrol,
Paw-
right?
No,
Or no?
we pitched it to that recently, but we wrote it for like the Superman like dog movie. Like his
Right.
dog, this
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But anyway,
It's
that
so
was
funny, but we tried to repurpose it
Yeah.
recently. Fingers crossed on that one.
Who knows?
I want a dog song
Yeah, we
somewhere
all
in the
do.
world. Always.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No, that's great. But yeah, I feel like I used to kind of have to wait until afterwards and sit with it for a little bit. And I don't know, it's just like I'm not very like, I feel like I look at my art in a pretty non-magical way. Like I know that I can write a song on command,
right.
but there is some type of like magic to knowing if a song is for me or for not,
Yeah, of
or
course.
for me or not. And I can't put my finger on it, but yeah, I feel like it was always just me listening back and
I mean, like, this feels like me.
yeah, it feels right or it doesn't.
I'm also curious about, for our listeners who maybe like you, they're also artists and songwriters or artists and producers, how some of those conversations, and if we don't want to talk about this, we can cut this out, but how some of those conversations can go where it's like in a situation where you write a song, you want it for you, and maybe your producer is like, we should pitch this. How do you feel like you handle those? Obviously delicately, but
Yeah. I am usually just honest.
yeah,
And I'm like, hey, I really like this actually. Or I'm like, hey, down to pitch this for sure. And if we get a big bite,
right.
awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But if we don't, I would really love to release it. And most of the time, actually, I think every time I've had this conversation with people, they've been super stoked because I feel like, hey, we would all rather the song come out
Right.
than it
Than not
die
come out,
in a
yeah.
Dropbox. Especially recently, I feel like the pitch game is getting so much harder.
It's gotten really competitive.
It's
and it's like it's
soul-sucking.
more people doing it for like K-pop and J-pop and stuff
Mm-hmm.
and less American artists that are open to pitch.
Yeah.
So it's
been
tough.
been
It's
really
tough out here.
really tough out here.
Yeah.
So, and even for me as a songwriter, whenever an artist is like, "Hey, I want to release this," I'm like, "Please take it,
Great.
release it, amazing." No matter the size, I'm very excited when someone that I write with wants to put a song out, and especially even for like pitch these days,
Yeah.
if it's like a newer artist and they're interested in something, I'm pretty inclined to give it to them.
Yeah, well, because there's that, there's that debate that we all have with one another and ourselves. It's like, do I give it to like, just to throw a name out there, like BB Rexa, and it's an album cut, or do I give it to this up and coming artist and it's their single?
Yeah, it's their single, and maybe it's a song to break them.
Right.
And then awesome.
They're
That's
all
the coolest thing
really
ever.
hard decisions to make.
Yeah.
Every single time I always try and go with my gut and be like, I'm usually more pro new artist.
Same.
And even as a producer, that's really hard just from the fact that it's like, a BB Rexa can pay me upwards of 20 grand versus new up and coming artist is going to pay me 5.
Yeah, but maybe more points.
Exactly. And I also want to think of like the songwriters too, where it's like, again, like, yeah, like great for me, I get a production fee, but it's like, and then the song is just going to be on an album and get 500,000 streams versus like, oh, this is, like I said, this like new artist, big song that gets like 5, 10, 20, 30, you never know.
Yeah, that's
So,
nice of you to think about. The
well,
team as well.
but that also, like, I'm a songwriter too.
Yeah.
So like I get it on
You
there
get it.
and it's like, I also try and think selfishly at like my own career where it's like, again, I'm just using BB as an example here. Nothing against BB.
Shout out, BB.
She's great. But, like how much is like a BB album cut really going to do for my career versus like, again, taking money out of it versus like helping to blow up an artist.
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier where it's like, that's
Yeah.
maybe better for my career.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I would say one of the most life-changing things that has happened to me in my career was us working on Build a Bitch.
Yeah.
Because that was Bella's very first release.
Right.
And it was also one of the most like creatively fulfilling things. And just, I'm so proud of that song.
Yeah, same.
And so excited about what that did for her.
Hey, gang, I just wanted to pop in here to let you know that the best way you can help this podcast grow is to rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. It tells the algorithm to push our show to other listeners so we can grow. And it's one of, if not the best way to help support this podcast. So if you wouldn't mind, take a second to rate this podcast. Sharing it with your friends would be amazing too. All right, back to the pod. I actually want to go on because I'm taking up too much of your time here. I want to go on to our song deep dives. First one we'll do is Ha Ha Ha. You actually kind of talked a lot about it already, about how you kind of came up with the writing. So I actually don't want to talk about that because we already did, which is sick. But what was the production, why don't you go a little bit more into what your first demo was like before you sent it to Dave and started working on it with Dave?
Nice. So the first demo, the first thing that I recorded for Ha 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 was electric guitar, and badly. But we kept all of my original guitars in there. Dave just layered things and added on. But the main wonky little riff parts, there's like a dare, 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 dare. That is the original take, and just we turned the
You cranked,
wonkiness
yeah,
up. We
yeah.
cranked the wonk.
Yeah.
And that I think I did actually record slower and then
That's
sped it
better.
up.
I mean, that's part, but that's
Because-
part of the charm of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of dictated the theme for the rest of the album as well, which is perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
It's beautifully flawed.
I just saw like a random Instagram or TikTok. Someone was talking about like the Sex Pistols and the Ramones. They're like, yeah, those guys just like went in there and did like 2 takes. And like they weren't like amazing musicians, but like that kind of, imperfection is what makes those records really unique and sound cool.
Yeah, the imperfection is
Yes.
interesting. It adds a
Yes.
charm to it, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yes.
So it was a very charming demo.
Yeah.
If I
Charming is a very kind word for you to use for yourself.
yeah, it was charming, and that's what I'm going to say about it because I'm going to be nice to myself.
But what was
today.
it? So it was just the guitars, your vocal. Did you add any drums in it yet?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So I found Splice drums. Shout
it.
out Splice. Really big production buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And the Splice drums, I think we kept parts of in actually.
Okay.
And I added a bunch of filters and stuff
Yeah.
and like chopped them up and like added, made them sound more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else was in the original one. Just a lot of like weird little sound effects.
Yeah.
A lot of like clapping, percussion, and I love just sampling things
Right.
around my studio. Like whenever I can add a weird noise in there, I will be adding it.
When you're looking for like those weird little sounds that you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
are you just like taking out your iPhone and recording things? Or you're like actually using your mic? That
I'm
you have
using
in-
my mic
Okay.
most of the time.
Yeah.
There are a few voice notes that made it in actually to the album. I sampled I don't know if I should say this.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's one song called If You Love Me, and so I wrote 2 songs. 2 songs got added onto the album, or I guess replaced other ones in the album quite last minute, and that's because I
As
went.
it goes.
Yeah, I went through a little breakup end of last year, and I thought the album was done, and then that happened, and I was like, uh-oh, I have more songs to write. I was like, we thought it was done.
Yeah.
Not quite. And then one of them, Dave and I were trying to find like a fun little sound, just something to put like in between a line just to
Yeah.
fill some space in the production. And I ended up like going through my whole camera roll and finding a video of my ex laughing. And it was so heartbreaking, but also the perfect little
It just
sound
happened to
bite.
work.
It just happened to work. So we
Yeah.
sampled the video, and Dave, I like sent it to him, I airdropped it to him, and he was we were trying to mess it up a little.
Yeah.
So he had the sound on loop, like
Yeah.
the audio, and he had been looping it for like 10 minutes, messing with the audio, and eventually just like looks back at me and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was sitting there just like tears. I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing so good." He's like, "I'm so sorry. This is torture." I'm like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, "It sounds really good."
Just like hear your ex's laugh
It's
over
perfect.
and over. Oh my
I
god.
was like, "Keep it in."
Oh my god.
But
So
yeah, the
that's sick.
sounds come from anywhere.
One of my favorite parts of the song, and I have a feeling it's a lot of Dave because they're very Dave sounding, but the drums
Mm-hmm.
are really sick. Are those real drums, or did Dave just like sample?
Oh my goodness, thank you for asking
Yeah.
this question because I literally almost forgot.
Yeah.
So it started out as Splice,
Okay.
and we have a lot of Splice in there.
Right.
And then Dave added on his drum sounds
Yeah.
that he uses and has, and I'm so bad at like finding drum sounds that I like, and he just has so many and is so
Yeah.
good at like finding the right ones. And then we got my drummer Jacob Herlick to play on a bunch of the songs.
Sick.
And then the last little step was layering in his drums. And we also have live strings on
on
a lot
that
of
was
them,
one of the questions.
which was
yeah.
also Dave bringing in. I do actually want to find her name.
Do it.
If you don't mind, because she's awesome. Dave brought in an amazing string player named Luna. I believe her last name is Suzu. Luna Suzu.
It's not Lovegood. Such a bad joke.
What was it?
Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. You're not a Harry Potter person?
I'm not a Harry Potter
Oh
person.
my god! I thought you would have been. but I
I've
guess
seen
not.
all of them, but only once.
Yeah,
But I'm ashamed to not have gotten that
that's
joke.
fine.
But Luna, yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh my gosh. The strings and the live drums just brought everything to life
Yeah,
so much.
the strings were such like an unexpected thing, but they're really cool.
They're
Obviously.
really cool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, when they came in, I was just like, oh, like was not expecting to hear those. Just
Yeah.
because it's such like a rocky kind of song.
Mm-hmm.
And but it works. Where'd that
Thanks.
idea come from?
Dave actually brought Luna in to record strings on a bunch of things that were unrelated to the album.
Sick.
And he was like, hey, I was just going to ask her if she could do a few passes of a few songs. Do you have any ideas? And I was like, oh my goodness, strings? Say less. Yes, please. So we did Ha Ha Ha, Growing Down. There's strings on that one. That's the name of the album as well, by the way, Growing Down. And there's a few others with strings. But yeah, that was like the little fairy dust final touch. That was the last thing we added.
It was such a cool little thing to like add at the end there. The other thing I wanted to ask was probably for this and the next one that we're going to talk about, Dirty Martini 2. What was the vocal recording like? Did you do that all yourself? Did you do some with Dave?
So all of the leads for Ha 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 I recorded in my home studio.
What do you record? Like, what's your chain at home?
So I record on a U67, which was a gift from my label when I signed in 2020.
I remember, yeah.
Yes, because they were, it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And all of their new signees, they were like, hey, send us what gear you want and
So you can work,
give it to you so you can work. And that was like, you know.
That's huge.
Yeah, I just wanted the microphone.
Yeah.
So that's my little setup, and I record sitting down because I am a lazy girl and I like to engineer myself. So I'm just sitting there on Ableton, and I don't have the Ableton where you can. I don't have the new one, so I couldn't comp.
Oh, you don't have like playlisting in it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have playlisting.
Oh.
So and it was actually a blessing in disguise because when I used to record on Logic, I would record 50 takes.
Yeah.
And then I would comp, and I would spend hours comping my vocal, and then I would have to do doubles, and it would just take so long and be such a headache for myself that not having playlisting was actually the best thing that could have happened.
Fun fact, you don't need to do 50 takes, Salem.
Thank
I don't
you.
know how to tell you that. Like,
now I do 4.
Good. Yeah.
And maybe even less. I record until I have it, and then I move on. But there's no comping, there's no...
Yeah.
If I don't like how something sounds, I will redo it, and then I'm keeping it.
Yeah, I think
that
that's
is
like
the lead.
also kind of fits into this, like, one, you also happen to be a very, very good singer, so you don't need, and like your pocket is, it's great.
Thank you.
But it's also, again, like the sounds, I haven't listened to the whole album, but this first record and the other one, they're raw. And I think you want to hear that. And also just for our listeners too, because I do a lot of vocal production on the side, and like, you don't need to be doing, because like people see like Billie Eilish doing like 100 takes, and she's such an amazing singer. But here's the thing, and there's nothing wrong with using it, but Billie doesn't tune her vocal. And we live in a world where we're always putting autotune on it. That is just the sound of modern pop music. And we're going for like that more of emotion than like perfect singing. And if you're not singing with tune, fine. Do 50 to 100 takes. But if you are going to tune your vocal, like,
You
don't fucking kill yourself.
100%
And just like
agree.
go for the thing that sounds cool and like a little bit more raw, and
Yeah.
let autotune do its cool autotune thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
good.
And you can also melodyne it.
Right. Autotune Melodyne, like exactly
Yeah.
the same thing.
I love melodyning vocals, actually. It is, I realized last weekend, it is the thing that puts me in flow state quickest. If I am sitting in a coffee shop melodyning, I am so locked in.
Yeah.
You literally,
Uh-huh.
you literally could not get my attention if you tried.
Yeah.
I'm like so zoned in.
Are you like me? It's like
scooching
kind of
things.
like a puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle, and you just got to get it perfect.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a really sensitive ear when it comes to pitch for my own voice.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I haven't worked with many other people's vocals. I would actually love to start doing that eventually. It's something I've been wanting to get into is vocal production for
You
other
should be
artists.
hosting sessions at your house and just do that. What do you?
I do want to do
Yeah,
that
there you go,
eventually. That's a goal, but I'm scared.
You just have to do it. I was scared. We were all scared. You just got to jump in
gotta
head
start
first.
doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. I've done it a few times, but like, I would love to do like one production session a month where I'm
Yeah.
a producer and bring an artist
Right,
over.
and it's like if you also feel like you
Run it.
can't finish it, like you have plenty of people you work with that's like, hey, do you
True.
think you can finish this? And we would all love to work on it. Like I'm sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, you just gotta jump in.
That's
so.
a good point.
Good advice for listeners too.
Yeah,
Just
do
do
it
it.
scared.
Yeah.
I say that all the time, but I should take my own advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but love melodyning, love recording a bunch of stacks as well. Big vocal stacker.
Yes.
For Ha Ha Ha, a fun fact is that Dave and I we called it a gang hang, where we invited some friends over and I printed out sheet music. Well, not sheet music. I printed out lyric sheets.
Yeah.
And most of the people that were there, not everyone, but most of them were in music. And I just taught everyone the choruses of things, and we put a microphone on the Omni setting
Right.
in the middle of Dave's living room and just shouted at a microphone for like 3 hours and had drinks and ordered pizza.
That's a fun day.
It was
Yeah.
really fun. It was like a later in the evening activity, so it felt more like a kickback.
Yeah.
And it was super fun, but that's how we got all the gangs for all of the songs.
Sick. That's
Except for
smart.
Dirty Martini, those are all just me being silly in my room, just like screaming
I
at a
think that
microphone.
I think
at
that was
different
actually really
angles.
smart, and that's actually a really great way into getting into Dirty Martini.
Nice.
I had the absolute
Segue.
pleasure of listening to this before the release. That's one of my favorite songs you've ever done.
Thank you.
It feels really special. It doesn't
Aw.
feel like it's only what, like a minute 50 or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
she's
short, but
Little
like
shorty.
I don't know. It's got high repeatability. Super fucking fun. I love that you produced it yourself and wrote it yourself. What was the idea behind that song and the whole process?
So I wrote that song to cheer myself up. It was the week that I was going through a breakup, and
So this was like one of the newer ones that was like
this was
okay.
one of the two that I wrote. I wrote more than two, but this is the two that made it.
That made it. Yeah.
I was so sad, and I remember driving to the dog park with Bowie, and I wasn't listening to anything. I was just like in my car, and I was like, I just need to write a song about nothing. Like I'd just been up all night, I think the night before, writing the
Right.
most heartbreaking song, which is not on the album, and just like been, feeling so much. And
Right.
also every time I feel a lot, I then analyze all of the emotions and then monetize them and like use them for art.
I mean, that's
I'm
our
just
job.
like, yeah, we're sitting there like wringing ourselves
Yeah.
out and just like, what can I capture and use for my job?
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to write something dumb and mindless and happy. And I love dirty martinis.
Yeah.
They're my favorite drink.
Extra dirty?
Especially extra
Extra-
dirty,
Extra olives?
filthy martini,
Yeah.
extra olives.
what I want.
You too?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you ever had a pickle juice martini?
I've made one before, but I've never ordered one. How about you?
Made them, never ordered.
Do you like?
Yes, I also just like love super salty, super dry, briny drinks like that.
Same.
So
I'm a
it's like,
salty gal. I love
yeah.
tinned fish,
There you go.
pickles,
Same.
olives, all the things. Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
We have the same palate.
Exactly.
So yeah, I was driving to the dog park and I just started humming that
Mm.
and singing like dun, 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 dirty martini.
Yeah.
And I was like, what could I put before that? Like dirty martini. I was like, the meaning of life is a dirty martini.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it'd be so funny if like everything rhymed, like a tiny little skirt in a tiny little bar in a really big city with the people I love in a skirt that's mini. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I was like, oh, it's so dumb and happy. And I think it was the first time that I'd actually smiled since
minute.
the
Yeah, since the
breakup.
breakup.
And I was like, nice. I made myself smile. I have to finish this song.
Yeah.
Just for me, just to get a little giggle in there.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, truly, this will put me in a good mood. Like, producing this up.
It's hard not to when you hear that song or just be like, all right, yeah.
Thanks.
I
Yeah,
feel
it's
good. Yeah.
so happy and whimsical.
Yeah.
And the word whimsy is literally in the song. And Dave and I had been using the word whimsy as like the guiding light for this album for the last year. We've been saying like, rediscovering the whimsy.
Right.
That is what this album should feel like and should encompass. And I realized that I hadn't actually said the word whimsy at all in any of the songs. So the bridge of this one is just, can you feel the whimsy? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Just like repeated over and
Yeah,
over.
I love it.
Thanks. So yeah, it's just a fun, silly one.
So when you wrote that, was that like you just like had the kind of the top line with like no chords, no instruments, and then what was the process of like figuring out what the chords were?
I then went on the piano and got all the chords sorted out, and they're pretty basic.
Yeah,
It's not anything.
No.
There's no crazy music theory happening in there. No. And then I went to Splice and I produced up a demo around Splice guitars, and it was obviously
Right.
not the exact tempo that I wanted, so I had to like chop
Move it
things
around
and
and,
move
yeah.
it around and like speed it up and slow things down and like put the little magic on it. And I got it to a point where I was happy with the demo. I added all of the percussion sounds, which I think not all of the percussion, some of them are splice drums and some are just like samples.
Yeah.
But most of the percussion is stuff that I sampled in my studio.
No, it sounds like, I mean, you did a really great job. You made really good choices. The
Thanks.
clap sounded fucking great. Like,
Thank
I'm
you.
like,
That was
damn.
literally me clapping
Yeah.
into my microphone.
It sounds great.
At different angles
Yeah.
and from far away and close and like stacking them. And then I did this on TikTok Live actually. So 100 people saw me produce this song.
That's it.
Yeah, I sampled martini glasses
And just
because I had to. It's called Dirty
Yeah,
Martini.
yeah.
So I sat there with a knife and a martini glass and clinked it like a million times
I love
on
super.
TikTok
I
Live.
love getting super meta. I mean, like Build a Bitch was like that, right? Where it's like we're gonna lean in hard
Oh yeah.
onto like the what we're doing here, and like I personally, I fucking love shit like that.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's called Dirty Martini,
Right.
you have to put a martini glass
Yeah,
in there.
lean into it and like have fun. Like I think that's something too that songwriters forget, where we tend to take ourselves really seriously, and it's like we have a dumb job. We really do. It's like have fun with it. Go too far in like the cringe.
Truly.
And just like I don't know, like think like a kid. Just play. Just
It's called playing music.
Yes.
We play music.
Yeah.
That is
That's
literally our
right.
job. It's to play.
Yes.
I feel like I'm really trying to lean more into the play aspect of creating music
Yeah.
because that's why we fell in love with it in
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yes.
It's fun. It should be fun.
I'm reminded of it every time I see like my daughter now. She's like 3.5. She's starting to like play with other kids and like seeing them like how like they're working out like either like doing an art project together and like they're not thinking, they're just kind of like doing.
Yeah,
and I'm
they're
just
in
like,
flow state.
damn it! I'm like trying. I want to eventually get a tattoo that says something like that. Either like keep it simple, stupid, or just
Oh, I love
play.
that.
I haven't figured out what, but I want that just as a reminder. Like whenever I'm taking a production too seriously, just like look at my arm and be like, right, stop,
Right.
stop. Just like keep it simple and just like play and have fun and just live the life there. You mentioned to me before the podcast that you had Lev come in and re-record the guitars.
Yes.
What was
yes.
that process like?
So I had the demo pretty much done with Spice guitars, and I knew that I wanted to replace the Spice guitars because there was like artifacts and stuff. And I asked Lev if he would be willing to record guitars on that one and another one called If You Love Me. And we had a lovely day where he came over, and I'd sent him the songs beforehand, and he came over, and he is one of the most talented people ever and one of the best guitarists. Oh my goodness. He knew every single line, and he had ideas for like how to make the parts more interesting and just nailed it. And I got to engineer him, which was
I was
also
gonna ask, like, who
really
engineered,
fun
yeah.
because I had never recorded guitar before.
Was that just like on your 67, just kind of like doing the thing?
Yeah, exactly. He sat on my couch, and I videoed a lot of it actually,
Sick.
just for the memes.
Yeah, of course.
And there are some fun little bits, like, how do I say it? Sorry, my brain just
Like licks
turned
or
off.
whatever that he's playing.
There are fun sound bites in the production that we kept from us laughing in between takes too.
Sick.
Or like me saying perfect at the end of a take. Like we kept that in for one of the songs. And I think the end of Dirty Martini, the end of one of them is Lev just going
Yeah.
and just like laughing into the microphone. I'm like, perfect. This is great. So it was a super fun time, and he killed it. Oh my goodness. Literally one take wonder.
Yeah.
He did more than one take because he's
Yeah,
a
you
sweet
want to,
boy, and he's
but-
like, I want to give you options.
Yeah.
But yeah, we recorded everything in sections and then a double of it. And then for Dirty Martini, we had two different options for the second verse of parts. One of them was more sparse, almost more like a bass line.
Right.
And the other was just strumming. And then I ended up choosing the more sparse one.
Yeah.
And this is actually a funny thing that I haven't told my manager. So if my manager sees this, shout out. But I sent the first, I comped all the guitars and everything and sent the first version of that to my manager. And he was like, this is cool, but he's like, guitars sound great. I'm just missing the charm of the splice sample because it sounded like it was, I don't know, perkier or something,
Right.
something. And I realized it's because the splice sample was sped up. And I was like, okay, yeah, let me talk to Lev and I'll re-record it.
Yeah.
I did not re-record it. I EQ'd it and
A
just
little bit
turned
differently.
up the high frequencies.
But yeah, maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what he was hearing.
Exactly.
At least
yeah.
he didn't be like,
And,
I changed it.
I put a little filter on it,
Yeah.
and then I sent it. I'm like, "How about this?" He's like, "Amazing! Lev crushed it."
There you go.
Really great way to take a note. I was cracking up. I'm like, he did not re-record it.
I know.
So funny, but yeah, Lev really crushed it and
Yeah.
brought that song to life.
I'm a very competent guitar player, but I like nothing better than getting a really like a person who's better at their instrument than I am
Oh,
to like come in and record it, and
it's
then it's like,
amazing.
yeah, again, it's just like it's like play. Like I'm hearing what they're doing, and then I'm like, ooh, like what if you did like this? And it's like because I play guitar a very specific way, and it's just nice to be like, you play guitar differently than I do.
Yeah.
Put your ideas down. Like let's see what we can get here, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's what honestly that's what producer was 30, 40 years ago. Like producers weren't as we are now, where it's like we're playing everything, we're touching everything. Before it was like guiding musicians.
True.
Uh,
Yeah, it was like producing the room.
yes,
It was
yes,
bringing in the right players
yeah,
and the right collaborators. Yeah,
exactly.
good
And it
point.
was just like kind of like telling them what to do and be like, "Ooh, great, let's move on." The other thing I really loved about that record, I'm curious what you use for it, is the bass line.
So, the bass line is my electric guitar pitched down an
Great,
octave because I did not own a bass.
yeah.
Dave is a sweetheart angel and bought me a bass after hearing that I did that. But the bass that is in the song is electric
But it
guitar.
sounds cool. Like I know so many people that do that, and like so many of my favorite like bass sounds are that because again, it gives it like this like weird kind of wonkiness.
It's so wonky.
Yeah,
It's like slowed down
yeah,
or it's sped up and like pitched down and just like so silly, but I feel like it was just all the
yeah.
charm that it needed.
Yeah, it's so fun. I kind of do the opposite of what you do because like, again, I'm a pretty proficient player, but sometimes I'll like play it double the speed and then have it go
Oh
down.
wow.
Yeah, I
You're
mean
playing
like
on hard mode.
well, usually a bass line, it's like I'm not like playing that quickly. It's just like okay, I'm just
Hmm.
playing it twice as fast, and
Yeah.
so it's not that hard to be quite honest. But I've done that in like on writing trips where it's like I didn't have a bass, and I was like, well, let me see if I do this.
Guitar.
I do
Yeah.
also do that
Just
with for you or for like our listeners too, what's really fun is like, again, I'm also a pretty proficient piano player, but sometimes like, you change a key of a song, or sometimes it's like, I don't feel like sitting here and playing in a key that I don't love, especially for piano, real piano.
mm.
You don't do it by an octave, but they have like these like Verispeed calculators that you can be like, okay, this song is in D. I'm playing it at 120 BPM. I want to play in C just to make it easier. And the Verispeed calculator will be like, okay, well, you need to change the song to this BPM, play it at that, and then put it back in the original one.
Oh, cool.
And then it also gives it like this wonky sound because now the piano is like slowed down a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, it's like really, it's like you can do that with guitars too, where you're
That's
like,
really good to know.
right, where it's like, oh, I want to play this. I love playing guitars open.
Mm-hmm.
And the more open I can do that, the better. So I will do that for
Smart.
guitars too, where it's like instead of retuning it or using a capo, I'd actually rather play it in that key and then speed up or slow down. So
That's
that's a
really
good
smart.
That tip for you too.
That
So
is,
once
yeah,
you start messing with
I'm gonna use
Verispeed.
that for sure.
Verispeed
Thank
calculators
you.
are all over the interwebs.
The intro.
Yeah, I love this song. I'm excited for the listeners here to check it out. I want to move on because I'm really taking up too much of your time here. But next segment is plug or unplug. For you or for our listeners who don't know, plug or unplug is where I ask you a piece of gear, plug-in, guitar, I don't know anything, and you give me plug if it's something you love and you use, unplug if you don't use it, bypass or make inactive if you don't. First plug-in, Sound Toys Little Ultra Boy.
Plug.
Okay, so I figured
Oh yeah, Little Altar Boy. So I actually didn't. I don't know if Dave used it. I know he used it for at least one song, but I don't know how much it's used on this one. But Little Altar Boy was my first fun production thing that I played with back at Berkeley. Like that's when I started using that one, and
Yeah.
it became a really big signature to my earlier sound. So it's all over my first EP, 757, and Bendick and I used it all the time for Lonely Child, that EP, and for the album. That was like first kind of thing that we would do to dress up a vocal or make
Yeah.
it sound more interesting and quirky was Little Altar Boy. That was
Yeah.
like my go-to.
Love that. Next one, I'm curious because that when you were working with Ben Dick and like we were like obviously sharing files and stuff. This was on like your vocal chain. Curious if it's still on it, you still use it. The CLA 2A.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
Dave helped me design an awesome vocal chain.
Dave does not use any of the Wave stuff, so
Okay.
he's definitely
Then
not using it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No, most of it is UAD
Yeah.
stuff.
That makes sense. But the CLA 2A for our listeners is like the classic LA 2A one. I don't use it. Sometimes I will, but I'm the same way. I have like a Audioscape one that I love, and I mostly use the UAD one. It's better. It just is.
The only downside with UAD stuff, though, is that it has to be plugged in.
No, they
No?
have the UADX ones where like most of the plugins now are native.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get on that.
Yeah, if you already own the plugin, you get like the native version of it.
Okay.
You just have to like it's like a separate thing. I'll show you it later or tell you.
Thank you.
I'm surprised Dave hasn't told you that. Yeah.
Every time I go and try and pull my stuff up at like a coffee shop, for example, I like to work in coffee shops
Yeah.
with headphones on. It's like none of the UAD stuff works because
No,
it's
no.
not plugged into my interface.
They're making like not all of them yet, but like almost like every month they're releasing more and more like native versions of it. So
Okay.
like all the ones that you probably already have
Mm-hmm.
have native versions
good
of
to
it.
know.
So it's really so I'm off the non-native versions when I can be. Next piece of gear, and I know you have it. The Neumann U67.
Big plug.
So
Oh my goodness.
what made you want to get that microphone?
So I was recording on an 87. I'm trying to think of where I recorded on my first 87, but a U87 was always, I think Berkeley, yes.
That makes sense.
U87 was my go-to at Berkeley. It was like the go-to when I could book the studio that had it, which was
you
one
were in
studio.
Berkeley in like what, like 2016 to 20, when was that?
2017 through 2019.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the U87 for our listeners was like the microphone of like the 2010s.
Yeah.
I hate that microphone personally, but continue.
I loved it so much, and
Yeah.
it was in Studio B at Berkeley, which was the hardest one to reserve.
Yeah.
So whenever I could get a chance to get my hands on it, I would. And I just felt like I had to do the least amount to my voice on that mic because it just, the way that it was just a
It just
really
fits your
nice
voice
fit.
really nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really nice fit. And then the first person to introduce me to the 67 was my old music director, Drew. And he was like, hey, because we did one of those like live taping things in quarantine. God, it must have been before that though, because I already had my microphone then.
Yeah.
It was something. We did some live taping, and he was like, I know you love the 87, but I think you should try a 67. I think that would fit your voice better.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
I like it better.
But you don't know, you don't know, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know until you know. And I did like a proper mic shootout at one point, and hands down, that was
The one for you.
That was the one for me.
Yeah.
And then when I signed, the label was gracious enough
Yeah.
to send me that, and that's my literal baby.
There
I
you go.
actually recently, this is not a laughing matter, the fires in LA
Right.
were horrible. I was out of town. I was in Paris at the time,
Oh, yeah.
and my friends Christy and Nicole called me one night. It was like 3:30 in the morning my time, and they were like, hey, there's a Studio City fire really close to your house. Do you want us to go get anything? And I was like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Can you please get my lizard and my microphone? And they were like, we're on it.
That's it.
So that's what they got.
Everything else can be
It
replaced.
was literally just that.
Yeah, it's so funny that speaking of mic shootouts, that's something that I tell every not producer to do, every artist to do. Because the U67, my take on it is that is a very picky microphone. That mic either absolutely fucking loves your voice or hates your voice. And like I love the U67, but it's like I wouldn't buy it for myself because it is so choosy. But what I tell artists like yourself is like go to, a lot of places do it. Like Vintage King does it. Other places, local music stores do it, where you can like go and record your own vocal. On like they'll set up a bunch of different mics for you.
And test which
Yeah,
like
you
better.
can test like which one fits your voice specifically. Because listen, I'm a U47 guy, but that's just because I found that like to me that's the most consistent microphone for like every different kind of voice because that's what my job is. But like it doesn't sound good on everyone. And so yeah, like for you, it's like I know you sound great on a 67.
Thanks.
So it's like
I
that's
like her.
right. That's the mic for you, and like that's what you got to do.
Person specific for sure.
Yes. Curious if you've used this plugin, Outputs Arcade.
Not sure.
Yeah, that's the one that like Dave and I use it a lot. It's it's kind of like Splice, but it's its own plugin, and basically it's more about like loops, and you can like load up a thing, and it's already like preloaded on a keyboard.
Ooh, no, I don't think I have.
Yeah, you might like it. It's like a fun way it's like a great way to like kind of stumble upon sounds.
Nice.
Where you're just like, oh, that's cool. Like I wasn't expecting to like hit that. And it what's also fun about it is like you can set it to the key of your song.
Oh, that's nice.
And so whatever it's pulling up will automatically be in the key
key.
and the BPM.
That's super nice.
So it's like it's already like set to work, which is
Nice.
like super fun to work on.
I like just discovered, not just, in the last 6 months, discovered how to use like the sampler on Ableton, which is the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But scared me for so long just because I don't know. It's this happens with me in production
Yeah.
is I will get scared of trying to learn something because I'm afraid it's going to be more challenging than it is. And then I'll look up a YouTube video
It
or I'll
never
ask Dave
is.
and
Yeah.
I'll learn it in like 10 minutes. And that ended up informing a lot of the production
Yeah.
also. There's one song that is entirely vocals on the album called New in Town. And it sounds like it's kind of Imogen Heapy in the sense that it sounds like I'm playing a synth, but it's just I've sampled my voice
Yeah.
like a million times and
Just
you
put it in
know.
the sampler and you did the thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So fun.
I start every project, not every, but most projects in Ableton because of their sampler and because of like a couple of other things that they have in there.
It's so
Yeah.
easy. And like even if it's not a voice, like sampling anything and
Yeah.
then putting it into there is just such a great way to get fun synth sounds.
Yeah. It's like you just
and
get happy
textures.
accidents
Yeah.
because you never know how it's going to sound. Next plugin we ask on every episode because we get very funny responses. I'm curious if you've messed with it at all. CLA vocals.
I have not messed with
No,
this.
it's good. It wouldn't sound good on your vocal, I think.
What is it?
It's like the one that like it's very highly talked about or debated because like you either love it or you hate it.
I
Again,
see.
it was that sound of the 2010s. Dave fucking hates it. I'm like neutral on it. I think there's a time and place for it. But it's like a plugin where it's like it's just a utility where it's got like a couple different things. That's it. I'll show it to you
Nice.
after. But
I'm intrigued.
yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up our podcast here, but we've been asking our guests to give a piece of advice that they wish they could give their younger selves, and
Oh,
in turn, our younger listeners, producers, songwriters who are listening to this. What would you like to say to yourself that maybe you yourself learned or someone told you?
oh, that's such a good question. A piece of advice that I have been trying to give myself more recently is to start things alone and really chase an idea by following your intuition and your gut instinct and then bring in other collaborators.
Yeah.
But really just see where your own first instinct will lead you
Yeah.
and chase that because I feel like that's how most of us start making music
Yeah.
is alone. And it's really easy to get caught up in the LA session culture of only starting ideas with a room full of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that writing alone and just starting things alone and finding inspiration alone can be intimidating and also a lost art.
Yeah.
At least it was for me for a little bit there.
I'm actually like super glad you brought this up because I shared that you were on this podcast, Daniel Wall. He like
Yeah.
recently had Benny Blanco on. It's like blowing up the internet.
Mm-hmm. I love Daniel.
And, you know, a lot of those songs that Benny was talking about was like exactly that. It was him or one of his collaborators like starting an idea and sending an I posted. And it was like, honestly, it was the most reacted story I've ever had.
Really?
Where I shit you not, I was like very surprised. I was like, oh, I'm just going to share my 2 cents here. But basically,
I
what
love your Instagram stories.
thank
Side
you.
note.
I work really hard on them. No, basically what I said was, I want to gain back that courage that those guys had, where it's like just sending, you know, like you or other my collaborators, like, hey, I have this chorus idea. What do y'all think? As opposed to like not doing that or like, you know, so much of the time too, where it's like you try and sneak, where it's like you're in a session, it's like, oh, I have this idea, but it's like I've had it in my back pocket.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Like, I'm curious, like you know, maybe we can talk about this a little bit, but I always feel like, and it's so stupid because it never happens, but I feel like people are like, don't like to do that because they're worried about people feeling weird about splits.
Interesting.
That's what I always got. And like, I'm always just like, I never care about that. I'm always just like, we're working on it in a room together. We split it evenly.
Yeah.
But,
Same.
but, you know, but I always feel like people feel weird about like coming in and being like, I had this like chorus start, guys. Me, I'm like, fuck yeah. I want
get
that.
so excited whenever
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's the thing. And I try and remember that for myself as well.
Right.
That whenever I'm working with an artist or a writer or a producer that like we come in and they already have an idea
Yeah.
to pitch, I'm like, oh, awesome. Let's hear it. Even if it doesn't like fit the vibe of the day, no one is, I feel like no one is precious.
No.
I feel like we all have pretty thick skins, you know? And even if we don't use it, it's still so appreciated that
Yeah.
someone took the time to actually prepare something for a
Yeah.
session. I love that. So I've also been trying to bring in more stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a good point about the splits thing.
It's tough, and it's like I've been trying like a fuck it attitude with it, and I only really did it with like people I work with a lot, like you and Dave. There was the one, like, not to like pump up myself, but I want to pump up myself a little bit. The one that we did with
Do it.
Bella and Dave, where it was that effing obsession song that like I don't know if it's
I
gonna come
love
out.
that song.
I fucking love that song. But that was one like I had like the start of the chorus before you guys came,
Exactly.
and I was just like I cannot tell you how nervous I was to like at least show you.
Really?
Guys. Of course, I hate my own voice.
It was perfect.
No,
though.
but it worked out.
It ended up working out great.
Yeah,
I
and
love
like
that song.
I have to like use that song in my head, be like, no, you can do this, like, you know. And I used to be so much better about it, but anyway, that is such good advice. It's advice that I needed to hear.
Like same.
Yeah.
I need to give that advice to myself regularly
Yeah.
because I don't know why it is kind of scary.
Yeah.
You know what it is too? It's like how to present the idea in a session, because sometimes, like for me, if it's a chorus idea, I usually have to sing it.
Right.
And I feel so awkward. I don't know why. Like I'm gonna be singing ideas the whole rest of the
But
day.
it's
But there's
so much
something
more vulnerable
weird.
for some reason.
Yeah, there's something like kid-like about being like,
Yes.
okay, this is my chorus idea that I wrote. Listen to me sing it a cappella. I feel like a kid giving a performance
That's
at a
how
dinner party.
I'm
to
telling
my
you, that's why
parents.
that's why it's so
so
nerve-wracking
funny.
to me.
It is.
And
it's
like and you can
scary.
sing and I can't fucking sing. So
You can
that's
sing.
No, I can sing, but like I'm not the best singer, but that's why I only really feel comfortable where it's like I say you just because it's like we've worked together so much, you're able to hear past my voice and be like, okay, I know what you want.
1,000,000%.
And so
Yeah.
otherwise I have to like play it on guitars and be like, this is the melody I want. Please do this. Anyway, we're going to wrap here. Salem, this has been so amazing. You're such a gem of a human. I think this is going to be, our listeners are going to love this episode. So thank you again
so
for doing
much.
it.
Thank you. This was so lovely. Great to
thank you.
catch up
All right.
and hang.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Producer Points. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and share with fellow music enthusiasts. For an encore, check out our Spotify playlist featuring all the songs we've discussed on the show, giving you the perfect soundtrack to your creative journey. Additional audio and video editing for this episode was done by Nathan Rebello. Until next time, this is Justin Gammella.